Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. If you really let that sink in, you'll realize something powerful. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't because of your talent, your intelligence, or even your opportunities. It's because of your discipline. And the tough truth is, your mind either works for you or against you. There is no middle ground. If you don't discipline your mind will discipline you. It will hold you back. It will keep you stuck in bad habits. It will convince you to give up every time things get uncomfortable. But when you learn how to control it, when you take charge of your thoughts, your focus, your actions, everything changes. This video isn't about hype. It's not about motivation that wears off in a few hours. It's about showing you how to build a disciplined mind that keeps showing up, even on the hard days. Especially on the hard days. You'll learn simple, practical steps to build mental strength, stay focused, and follow through on the things that matter most in your life. These are the same habits and strategies that separate people who win from people who just wish they could. If you're tired of starting over, if you're done breaking promises to yourself, if you're ready to build real discipline and take back control, you're in the right place. Stay until the end, and you'll walk away with a clear plan, real tools you can use, and a mindset that doesn't just want more, but knows how to go out and get it. Let's start building the mind that will change your life. Chapter 1. You've been lied to. Discipline isn't a punishment. Discipline is the key that unlocks every door you've ever wanted to walk through. Success, confidence, health, freedom, it's all waiting on the other side of one choice. And that choice is not luck. It's not talent. It's not who your parents were or where you were born. It's discipline. The ability to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between those who build a life they're proud of and those who stay stuck in the same loop, year after year, wondering why nothing changes. But here's the thing, nobody told you growing up, and it's time you heard the truth. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not something you suffer through. It's not a life sentence of boring routines and restrictions. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is power. Discipline is the ultimate act of self-love. And when you finally understand that, not just in your head, but deep in your gut, everything changes. For far too long, discipline has been misunderstood. People hear the word and immediately picture some strict, joyless life. They think of waking up before dawn, running miles in the freezing cold, eating the same bland meal every day, and they say, "That's not for me." But what they don't realize is that discipline isn't about taking things away from your life. It's about giving you everything you've ever wanted. Freedom from stress. Freedom from regret. Freedom from feeling like you're living below your potential. Imagine waking up every day and knowing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That you're living life on your terms because you have the strength to make the hard choices. That's what discipline gives you. It's not punishment. It's the highest form of respect you can give yourself. And it's the only way you'll ever become the person you were meant to be. When you avoid discipline, you don't avoid pain. You just trade one kind of pain for another. You trade the temporary discomfort of doing the hard thing now for the long-term agony of regret later. And regret is a far heavier burden to carry. Regret keeps you up at night. Regret makes you wonder what could have been if you had just done what you knew you should have done. But discipline is the pain that weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. Discipline asks you for a little bit of effort today. Regret robs you of peace for years. When you choose discipline, you're choosing peace in advance. You're making an investment in a future where you're proud of yourself, where you look back and know you gave it your all. And there's no better feeling in the world than knowing you honored your potential. I get it. It's not easy. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, showing up when you'd rather sit it out, that takes effort. But what people miss is that the first steps are always the hardest. At first it feels like pushing a boulder up a hill, but if you keep showing up, something shifts. That boulder starts rolling. Momentum kicks in, and suddenly the things that used to feel impossible start to feel natural. Discipline stops being this constant struggle and starts being your default setting. You don't have to force yourself to do the right thing because you've trained yourself to crave it. You start wanting the things that are good for you because you've seen the results. You've felt the pride. You've lived the freedom. And once you taste that, you'll never go back. People think they need motivation to be disciplined. They wait to feel inspired. They think they have to be in the right mood. But motivation is a liar. It's fleeting. It shows up when it feels like it, and disappears the moment things get tough. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It's there no matter what. It's the voice in your head that says, I don't feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway. And that's the voice you need to listen to, because that's the voice that builds champions. That's the voice that changes lives. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. And the people who win in life are the ones who do it whether they feel like it or not. There's something powerful that happens when you realize you're in control. When you stop waiting for circumstances to be perfect. When you stop blaming your past, your parents, your boss, the economy, anything and everything outside of you. When you decide, no more. When you make the commitment to yourself that no matter what happens around you, you're going to show up. You're going to do the work. You're going to be the kind of person who keeps their word to themselves first, and then to the world. That's when everything shifts. Because life will never be fair. Conditions will never be perfect. But you can be consistent. And consistency beats talent every time. The greatest act of rebellion in this world is to be disciplined. In a society that constantly tries to sell you shortcuts, distractions, and instant gratification, choosing discipline makes you unstoppable. When everyone else is looking for an easy way out, you're willing to take the hard way, and because of that you rise. While others are giving up, you're getting stronger. While others are waiting, you're working. And eventually they look up and wonder how you did it. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you were born for this. But you'll know the truth. You earned it. Step by step. Choice by choice. Day after day. You earned it through discipline. And let me tell you something that most people don't want to admit. Discipline is not reserved for the elite few. It's not something you're born with, or something you need to have figured out before you start. Discipline is built in the small moments. It's saying no when it's easier to say yes. It's getting up when you want to stay down. It's showing up when nobody's watching. And anyone can do that. You can do that. Right now. You don't need to wait until Monday. You don't need to wait for the new year. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of the choices you make today. Not someday. Today. So here's the challenge. Take control. Take one area of your life, just one, and commit to discipline. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your focus. Maybe it's your relationships. Whatever it is, make a promise to yourself. A real one. And then keep it. No matter what. Because when you start keeping promises to yourself, you rebuild trust with yourself. And that trust is everything. When you trust yourself,
You become unstoppable. Because you know that no matter what happens, you'll have your own back. You'll do what needs to be done. And that kind of confidence changes everything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start. And starting isn't about going all in and burning yourself out. It's about showing up consistently. One day at a time. One choice at a time. Discipline is like a muscle. At first it's weak, but every time you use it, it gets stronger. And one day you'll look back and realize you became the person you always wanted to be. Not because of one massive decision, but because of 1,000 small ones. And that's how real change happens. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. If you want to be free, if you want to live a life that you're proud of, you have to understand this. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's the path to everything you've ever wanted. The life you dream about is not going to show up by accident. It's built, brick by brick, through discipline, through showing up on the days you don't feel like it, through doing the hard things when no one's watching, through choosing your future self over your current comfort. And that life, that freedom, it's waiting for you. You just have to take the first step. This is your moment. You've been lied to long enough. You've been told that discipline is hard, that it's suffering. But now you know the truth. Discipline is the greatest form of love. Discipline is the path to peace. Discipline is the foundation of power. And once you commit to it, really commit, your life will never be the same. So stop waiting. Stop negotiating with yourself. The time is now. The choice is yours. And you are ready. Because deep down, you've always been ready. You just needed someone to remind you of who you really are.
Chapter 2. Comfort zones are killing you. The life you want, the life you keep seeing in your mind when the world gets quiet, isn't somewhere out there waiting for you to find it. It's buried deep inside you, hidden underneath layers of comfort, convenience, and avoidance. And here's the truth: as long as you stay comfortable, you stay stuck. Comfort zones don't keep you safe. They keep you small. They keep you tame. They wrap around you like warm chains, convincing you that you're fine where you are, that you're doing okay, that you'll get to it tomorrow. But deep down, you know, you feel it every night before you fall asleep. You know there's something more for you, and it's waiting on the other side of discomfort. You were not made to be comfortable. You weren't put on this earth to drift through your days looking for the next dopamine hit, the next distraction, the next easy way out. You are built for challenge, for struggle, for growth. And real growth always lives outside the walls you build to protect yourself from feeling uncomfortable. That voice in your head that tells you to stay safe, to stay where it's easy. That voice is lying to you. It's trying to protect you from pain, but in doing so, it's robbing you of your power. Nothing that matters comes from a life of comfort. Your potential isn't found inside your routine. It's found when you step out into the unknown, when you take the risk, when you do the thing that scares you. And I get it. Discomfort isn't fun. No one wakes up excited about getting uncomfortable. No one enjoys failing. No one loves the feeling of uncertainty. But what's worse? Living a life where you never know what you're truly capable of. Waking up 10 years from now, realizing you played it safe, realizing you left your potential sitting on the table because you didn't want to feel awkward or vulnerable or afraid. That's a pain you can't fix. And the scary thing is, that pain doesn't show up all at once. It creeps in slowly. It shows up in the form of quiet disappointment, missed opportunities, that heavy feeling in your chest when you know you're not living up to who you could be. Your comfort zone whispers lies in your ear, telling you that it's better to be comfortable, better to be cautious, better to wait until you're ready. But you will never be ready. No one is ever ready for change. You become ready by stepping forward while you're still scared. You become ready by taking action before you feel confident. You don't wait to feel courageous. Courage is something you earn by moving while you're afraid, by showing up while you're shaking, by stepping forward into the unknown with nothing but a decision to keep going. The reason most people never leave their comfort zone is because they are addicted to certainty. They want to know exactly how it will all play out before they take the first step. They want guarantees, but life doesn't hand out guarantees. It hands out opportunities to those willing to embrace uncertainty and take action anyway. Growth doesn't come with a roadmap. You have to be willing to walk the path without knowing exactly where it leads. And if you're brave enough to do that, life rewards you with something better than certainty. It gives you strength. It gives you resilience. It gives you the ability to handle anything that comes your way because you've trained yourself to thrive in discomfort. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're tired of the same results, if you're tired of living a life that feels smaller than what you know it could be, you have to stop avoiding discomfort and start leaning into it. The obstacles you're facing, the ones that feel impossible to get past, are not there to break you. They're there to build you. They are the resistance you need to grow. Think about it like lifting weights. If you only ever pick up what's light and easy, your muscles never grow. It's only when you choose to lift something heavier than you think you can handle that your body adapts. The same is true for your mind, for your discipline, for your life. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you make your comfort zone smaller. Every time you choose challenge over comfort, you expand your limits. And that's where the real magic happens. Because one day you'll look back at the things that used to scare you, the things that felt impossible, and they'll feel easy. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. You'll realize that the things you once thought would break you are now the things that built you. You'll stand in the place you once dreamed about and wonder why you ever doubted yourself in the first place. But none of that happens if you stay comfortable. Growth demands sacrifice. Sacrifice of your ego. Sacrifice of your excuses. Sacrifice of your need to be perfect before you begin. You have to be willing to look foolish. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to fail. Not just once, but again and again. Because failure is not the enemy. Failure is feedback. Failure is the proof that you are trying, that you are moving, that you are alive. And every time you fail, you are gathering the lessons you need to succeed. The people you admire, the ones who seem fearless and disciplined and unstoppable, are not fearless at all. They are simply willing to be uncomfortable. They are willing to fail in front of the world. They are willing to get up one more time than they fall. They don't have some magic power that you don't. They have trained themselves to embrace discomfort. They've made friends with fear. And you can too. You don't need to take massive leaps. You don't need to change everything all at once. You just need to take the first step. One step outside your comfort zone. One action that stretches you. Maybe it's having the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier and doing the work while everyone else is still asleep. Maybe it's saying no to something easy so you can say yes to something hard. And when you take that first step, you'll prove to yourself that you can do hard things. And the more you prove that to yourself, the more unstoppable you become. The comfort zone is not where you belong. You were not made for average. You were made for excellence. You were made for growth. You were made to rise.
But none of that happens until you are willing to let go of your need to be comfortable. The life you want isn't inside the comfort zone. It's outside of it. It's on the other side of effort, of risk, of failure. And if you have the courage to step into that space, to embrace the challenge, to push through the fear, you will find out who you really are. You will discover a strength inside you that you never knew existed. And once you find that strength, nothing can stop you. Your comfort zone is killing you slowly. It's taking away your potential, your energy, your fire. But you can take it back. Right now. Today. It starts with one decision. One act of courage. One choice to stop playing small and start living big. And when you do that, when you make that choice, everything changes. You change. And once you change, the world around you begins to change too. So don't wait. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment doesn't exist. You create it by taking action. Right here. Right now. Get uncomfortable. Get moving. Get disciplined. Your future self is waiting for you to show up. Be the person who takes that first step. Be the person who breaks free from the comfort zone and never looks back. You are capable of more than you can imagine, but you'll never know until you're willing to leave comfort behind and find out. This is your time. This is your life, and it's waiting for you on the other side of fear.
Chapter 3. Identity is a lie. You're a story you keep telling yourself. There's a moment in life when you stop and realize that the person you've been isn't who you're destined to be. It hits hard. Maybe it comes after you've hit a wall, or maybe it sneaks in during one of those quiet moments when nobody's around. And for the first time, you see it clearly. You've been living inside a story you didn't even know you were writing. And that story, it's probably outdated. It's probably too small for the life you're supposed to be living. But here's the good news. Stories can change. Identities can be rewritten. You are not stuck with the version of you that you've carried this far. You are the author. You always have been. And when you wake up to that fact, your entire life can shift. The truth is, we become what we believe about ourselves. That's not just philosophy. It's fact. If you've spent years telling yourself you're lazy, that you're undisciplined, that you can never stick to anything, then guess what? Your actions will fall in line with that identity. Not because it's who you are, but because it's who you've told yourself you are. You'll act in a way that proves the story right. And every time you do, you reinforce it even more. It's a loop. A powerful one. And unless you break it, you will live the same year over and over again, calling it a life. But here's what they don't tell you. That identity you've been wearing like a heavy coat on a summer day. It's optional. You can take it off. You can hang it up. And you can choose something new. Yes, it's that simple. Not always easy, but simple. You are not your habits. You are not your past. You are not the labels someone else gave you. You are the story you tell yourself. And if you don't like the story, rewrite it. Let me be real with you. You don't need permission to change. You don't need to wait until you've earned it. Too many people are waiting for some magic moment where they'll finally feel like they deserve to change their life. But that moment doesn't come. You don't get a notification that says, "Okay, now you're ready to become who you were meant to be." You have to decide. You have to declare it to yourself. That's where it starts. You draw a line in the sand and you say, "This is where the old story ends and the new one begins." Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Think about it. Every time you take an action, you cast a vote for the kind of person you believe you are. When you skip the workout, you're voting for the identity of someone who gives up. When you hit snooze, you're voting for the identity of someone who breaks promises to themselves. But every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, you're voting for something different. You're building a new identity. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. The most powerful force in the human mind is the need to stay consistent with who you believe you are. If you tell yourself, "I'm not disciplined," then the moment discipline gets hard, you'll quit, because quitting matches the identity you've accepted. But if you flip that script, if you start telling yourself, "I am disciplined," even if you don't fully believe it yet, something changes. You'll feel the tension every time you try to act against that new identity. And that tension pulls you toward better choices. Over time, those choices stack up. And before you know it, you've become the person you always wanted to be. Not because you magically changed overnight, but because you started with the decision to tell a better story. This is why affirmations are powerful, but only if you back them up with action. You can't just sit in front of a mirror and chant, "I'm disciplined," while your actions prove otherwise. The story only works if you live it. But here's the hack: it doesn't have to be big at first. Small wins build trust. Small wins create momentum, and momentum builds belief. When you wake up and make your bed, you've cast a vote. When you sit down and do your work without distraction, you've cast a vote. When you get yourself to the gym on a day you didn't feel like it, you've cast a vote. And those votes, they matter more than you think. Understand this: your mind doesn't care what the truth is. It believes what you repeatedly tell it. If you tell yourself you're lazy, if you tell yourself you're not cut out for success, if you tell yourself you always fail, your mind will believe you. And then it will go to work finding ways to prove you right. But the opposite is true too. Start feeding your mind something new. Start telling yourself, "I'm the kind of person who follows through. I'm the kind of person who does hard things. I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit." And then live it. And when your mind starts believing that, it will find ways to make that true too. You have to understand how powerful this is. The entire system of who you are right now is just a series of habits built on the identity you've accepted. Change the identity, and the habits follow. You don't force change. You embody it. You don't grind your way into discipline. You become a disciplined person by aligning your actions with that identity, one step at a time. It's not about faking it. It's about becoming it. And you become it through practice. If you're listening to this and thinking, "But I've failed so many times," I hear you. We all have. But failure doesn't make you a failure. Failure is data. It's feedback. It's a lesson that tells you something about what didn't work. It's not who you are. And it's not a death sentence. The only way failure becomes your identity is if you choose to wear it. But you can choose something else. Right now, you can decide that failure is simply part of the story that makes you stronger, wiser, better prepared for the next chapter. Let me tell you something about identity shifts. They don't come with fireworks. They come quietly. You decide you're no longer the person who quits when it gets hard. You decide you're the person who finishes what they start. And then you back it up. Quietly. Consistently. Day after day. Until one day, it's just who you are. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's automatic. And that's when you've won. Identity is not fixed. It's fluid. It can be rewritten. And it's rewritten by you. No one else. Not your past. Not your parents. Not your circumstances. You get to choose who you are. And you get to prove it with the actions you take today.
Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. You are ready now. You've always been ready. You just needed to remember who you are and what you're capable of. So what story have you been telling yourself? And what story are you going to start telling yourself now? Because your life will rise or fall to the level of that story. Choose wisely. Speak it boldly. Live it relentlessly. And watch how everything begins to change. Not by chance, by choice. This is your moment. This is your life. And the pen is in your hand. Start writing a story you're proud of. And never stop.
Chapter 4. The discipline of saying no is what gives your yes power. You will never own your life until you learn how to say no. It's one of the simplest things to say, yet it's one of the hardest things for people to do. And that's not because you're weak or you don't have the strength. It's because the world has conditioned you to be available, to be agreeable, to always say yes, yes to distractions, yes to people who drain you, yes to commitments that pull you away from what really matters. But here's the truth. Nobody told you. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying no to something that does. And your future depends on whether you have the discipline to reverse that equation. You don't have an energy problem. You don't have a time problem. What you have is a priority problem, and it's costing you more than you realize. The life you want isn't going to come from adding more to your plate. It's going to come from cutting out what doesn't belong there in the first place. Discipline is not just about what you're willing to do. It's about what you're willing to walk away from. It's about what you're willing to reject, what you're willing to sacrifice, and what you're willing to protect. And if you don't protect your time, your energy, your focus, no one else will. Saying no isn't selfish. It's self-respect. It's looking at your life and recognizing that not everything deserves a piece of you. It's understanding that your attention is your most valuable currency, and you can't afford to keep spending it on things that give you no return. Every yes you give comes at a cost. You just have to decide if it's worth it. Most people are bankrupt, not because they don't have enough talent, time, or potential, but because they give their attention away too easily. They're so worried about being liked, about being accepted, about not disappointing anyone, that they end up disappointing the only person who truly matters, themselves. And that ends now. Because you are not here to live life on other people's terms. You are here to build something bigger. You are here to lead yourself first before you can ever hope to lead anyone else. And leadership starts with boundaries. It starts with having the courage to say, no, that's not for me, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Every time you say no to something small, you make room to say yes to something big. That's how power works. That's how freedom works. It's not about being able to say yes to everything. It's about being able to say no to almost everything, so that the few things you do say yes to get your full presence, your full energy, your full commitment. Think about it. If you say yes to every opportunity, every invitation, every distraction, how much of you is left for the things that actually matter? How much energy do you have left to build the body you want, the mind you want, the life you want? How much time is left over to work on your craft, to develop yourself, to become great at what you do? Greatness doesn't come from spreading yourself thin. It comes from going deep. It comes from doing less, but doing it better. And that only happens when you get ruthless about what you allow into your life. You are not required to attend every argument you're invited to. You are not obligated to engage with every drama that circles your world. You are not supposed to be available 24/7. Just because someone has access to you doesn't mean they have a right to your time. You get to choose who gets your energy. You get to choose what gets your focus, and the discipline to choose wisely. That's where your power is. But let's be real, saying no isn't easy. It triggers guilt. It makes you second-guess yourself. It makes you worry about what other people will think. But I want you to remember something. Every time you say no from a place of alignment with who you are and where you're going, you are saying yes to yourself. You are choosing to stand for something, and you're choosing to protect your future self from being buried under obligations you never should have accepted in the first place. Your dream life is not built by being agreeable. It's not built by being liked. It's built by being clear on your mission. And clarity creates courage. When you know who you are and what you're here to do, saying no becomes easier. You stop entertaining things that don't move you forward. You stop tolerating energy that drains you. You stop negotiating with people who don't respect your time. And you start building a life that reflects your values, your purpose, your vision. The people who rise to the top are not the ones who do the most. They are the ones who focus on the few things that matter the most and give them everything they've got. They aren't busy all the time. They are intentional all the time. And that's the difference between being productive and being busy. Busy people say yes to everything and wonder why they're exhausted. Productive people say no to almost everything and channel their energy into the few things that truly matter. And that's how they win. So ask yourself right now, where are you saying yes when you should be saying no? What commitments are you holding on to out of guilt or fear or obligation, not because they're aligned with your purpose? What distractions are stealing your attention from what really matters? The people who succeed at the highest level are not more talented than you. They are just better at saying no. And you can be too. It starts small. The next time you're asked to do something that doesn't feel aligned with your goals, say no. The next time you catch yourself about to waste an hour scrolling on your phone, stop. The next time you're invited into gossip, decline. Every no is a vote for your future self. Every no is an act of discipline that makes room for a more powerful yes down the road. Because here's the thing, the power of your yes is determined by how often you're willing to say no. If you say yes to everything, your yes means nothing, but if you say no more often, your yes carries weight. It becomes meaningful, and the people around you will respect it more because they know you don't give it away lightly. You are the gatekeeper of your life. You decide who gets in and who doesn't. You decide what stays and what goes. And if you don't stand guard at the gate, distractions, negativity, and energy leaks will flood in and take over. Your life is your responsibility. No one else is coming to protect your time, your energy, your future. That's on you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you reclaim your power. Saying no is not about shutting the world out. It's about choosing what you let in. It's about curating your life with intention. It's about making sure that the things you say yes to are things that move you closer to the person you want to be and the life you want to live. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you are building a life that does. Every time you draw a line in the sand and say, "Not for me," you create space for what's meant for you to find you. Every time you protect your focus, you sharpen your edge. And when you do that consistently, you become unstoppable. The discipline to say no is not about being harsh or cold. It's about being clear. It's about having boundaries that protect your peace, your energy, and your purpose. And clarity, my friend, is a superpower. So here's the truth you need to take with you today. Every yes is a trade. Make sure you're trading for something that matters. Make sure you're trading for something that brings you closer to who you want to be. Make sure you're trading for something that leaves you proud of how you spent your time and energy.
You only get one life, one shot, and it's happening right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday. Now you can't afford to keep giving yourself away to things that don't deserve you. You can't afford to keep saying yes to things that steal from your future. Now is the time to decide. Now is the time to be bold. Now is the time to protect your energy, like your life depends on it. Because it does. You were not born to be everything to everyone. You were born to be something great to someone, and that someone starts with you. Say no to what doesn't serve you. Say yes to the life you're here to build. And when you do that, when you make those tough calls, when you choose your focus over your fear of saying no, everything in your life will start to shift. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel stronger. You'll feel unstoppable. So take your power back. Say no. Say it unapologetically. Say it with strength. And watch how your life transforms. Because this is your time, and the power of your no will make your yes unstoppable.
Chapter 5. You are not your thoughts. You are the master of them. At some point in your life, you have to stop letting your mind run the show. You have to stop giving so much power to every thought that passes through your head, because if you don't, it will control you. And if your mind controls you, everything in your life gets harder than it needs to be. You have to understand this. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. You are the one who decides what stays and what goes. And the moment you realize that you reclaim your power, that's the moment your life begins to change. Because until then, you're living like a passenger. But you were never meant to be a passenger. You were meant to drive. You were meant to be the one in control. Every day your mind is throwing things at you. Random thoughts, negative ideas, doubts, worries, fears. Some are true, most are not. Your mind is a constant stream of noise. That's how it's wired. It's designed to think, to protect you, to make sense of the world. But here's the problem. Your mind doesn't know the difference between something that's helpful and something that's hurting you. It just runs. It just repeats old programs. And if you're not careful, you start believing everything it tells you. You start thinking that, because you have a thought, it must be true. You start thinking that, because you feel fear, you should stop. You start thinking that, because you feel doubt, you're not ready. And that's how your mind traps you. But you don't have to live like that. You can take control of your mind. You can separate yourself from the noise. You can look at your thoughts without getting pulled into them. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. Because now you're in charge. Now you're the one choosing what to believe, what to act on, what to focus on. Now you're the master, not the slave. And that's where real discipline starts. It doesn't start with your body. It doesn't start with your habits. It starts in your mind. It starts with the thoughts you allow to stay. Imagine if you treated every thought like a guest knocking on your door. Some guests you invite in. You sit them down. You offer them something to drink. You spend time with them. But others, you don't even open the door. You look through the peephole and say, "No, not today." That's how you have to be with your mind. You don't have to accept every thought. You don't have to believe every story it tells you. You get to decide. And when you start making that decision consciously, your life begins to shift in ways you can't even imagine. Because, here's the truth, your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. What you focus on expands. If you let fear run your mind, your life will be ruled by fear. If you let doubt take over, you'll hesitate at every opportunity. If you let negativity win, you'll only see what's wrong. But if you take control and start feeding your mind discipline, confidence, courage, focus, everything changes. You start seeing possibilities instead of problems. You start taking action instead of waiting. You start leading instead of following. And that's when your life becomes yours again. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Your mind is loud, and it's persistent. It's been running the same programs for years, maybe decades. But just because it's hard, doesn't mean it's impossible. In fact, it's the most important work you'll ever do. Because when you master your mind, you master your life. When you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your emotions. And when you take control of your emotions, you take control of your actions. And that's how you build a disciplined life. One choice at a time, starting in your mind. You need to start seeing your thoughts for what they are, suggestions. That's it. Not commands, not facts, just suggestions. Your mind will tell you, you can't do this. That's a suggestion. You can decline. Your mind will say, what if you fail? That's a suggestion. You don't have to take it. Your mind will whisper, this is too hard. That's a suggestion. You can choose something different. Every time you override a negative thought with a stronger decision, you build power. You train your mind to follow your lead, not the other way around. And that's how discipline works. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about doing what needs to be done, no matter what your mind says. One of the most dangerous lies we tell ourselves is that we are our thoughts. We're not. You are the observer. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. And the sooner you step into that awareness, the sooner you stop being controlled by old stories, by fear, by doubt. You stop being reactive. You start being intentional. And life opens up in ways you didn't think were possible. Think about it like this. You can't always control the first thought that pops into your head. But you can always control the second one. You can always control what you do next. Maybe fear shows up. Maybe doubt creeps in. That's fine. You're human. But what matters is whether you listen to it or not. What matters is whether you believe it. What matters is whether you act on it. And when you choose to act in spite of the fear, in spite of the doubt, you take back your power. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by your thoughts. You control them. And here's something powerful. The more you do this, the quieter the noise becomes. The more you train your mind to follow your lead, the more it starts working with you instead of against you. It stops throwing up the same objections. It stops recycling the same doubts. It starts adapting. It starts evolving. Because your mind isn't the enemy. It's a tool. And when you use it the right way, it becomes your greatest ally. You have to stop waiting for your mind to be quiet before you take action. You have to stop waiting for perfect clarity before you move. The disciplined mind acts first and lets the feelings catch up later. The disciplined mind understands that thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. They're temporary, they're fleeting, they don't define you, and they don't control you unless you let them. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of thoughts, and the thinker has the power to choose. Right now, in this moment, you can choose a new thought. You can choose a new belief. You can choose a new direction. And when you do that enough times, you build a new identity. You become someone who leads their mind, not someone who is led by it. That's the real power of discipline. It's not just waking up early. It's not just going to the gym. It's not just grinding through your to-do list. It's the quiet, invisible work of mastering your inner world. It's the daily decision to choose thoughts that serve you. It's the commitment to focus on what moves you forward.
It's the awareness to know when your mind is lying to you, and the strength to act anyway. And when you master that, when you get to the place where your thoughts are tools and not chains, you become unstoppable. Because nothing can hold you back except the story you tell yourself. And you're the author of that story. Always. This is your time to take control. This is your time to stop being a prisoner of your mind and start being the master. You have the power. You've always had the power. You just forgot for a while. But now you remember. Now you know. And once you know, you can never go back. Because you've seen the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses what comes next. So choose power. Choose discipline. Choose to lead your mind, not be led by it. And everything in your life will change. Starting now.
Chapter 6. Do the boring work. Boring creates mastery. If you're serious about changing your life, about building something you're proud of, something solid, something lasting, you're going to have to make peace with something that no one tells you when they talk about success. You're going to have to get really good at doing the boring work. Not once, not twice, every day, over and over and over again, until it becomes who you are. Because the truth is, success is not sexy. It's not a highlight reel. It's not fireworks and applause. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It's the same small, simple actions stacked on top of each other, until one day you look back and you've built something extraordinary. But most people never get there because they quit when it gets boring. They quit when the excitement wears off. They quit when the work isn't shiny anymore. And that's the trap. That's the reason so many people stay stuck, wondering why they can't seem to break through. They think they're supposed to feel fired up all the time. They think they need to feel motivated to keep going. But motivation is a liar. It comes and goes like the weather. You can't depend on it. You can't build anything real on something that's unstable. What you can depend on is discipline. Discipline is the ability to show up when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation packs up and leaves. And discipline, real discipline, is built in the boring moments. If you look at anyone who's great at what they do, I mean truly great, not just good for a little while, you'll find they've made friends with boredom. They've embraced the grind. They've found a way to fall in love with the process, not just the result. And that's where mastery lives. It doesn't live in the big moments, the big wins. It lives in the small things. The things no one sees. The things no one claps for. The early mornings, the late nights, the extra reps, the time spent refining the details when no one's watching. That's where greatness is forged. Quietly, relentlessly. The problem is, we live in a world that's addicted to dopamine. Everything is designed to give you a quick hit, fast results, instant gratification. And if something doesn't give you that rush right away, you move on to the next thing, the next shiny object. But mastery doesn't work like that. Mastery is slow. It's deliberate. It's repetitive. And at times it's brutally boring. But that's the point. The boring work is the work that matters most because it's the foundation, and a solid foundation isn't built overnight. It's laid brick by brick, day after day, even when it's not exciting. Especially when it's not exciting. You have to stop chasing excitement and start chasing excellence. You have to be willing to do the same thing every day, to get up and put in the reps, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Even when the results aren't coming fast enough. Because the results are coming, you just can't see them yet. It's like planting seeds. You water them every day, you tend to them, and for a while nothing happens. It's easy to think it's not working. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, foundations are forming. And if you stay consistent, if you stay disciplined, one day those seeds break through the ground, and then they grow fast. But they only grow fast because you were patient during the boring part. You were faithful in the process when it didn't look like it was working. I need you to understand something right now. The boring work is not a punishment. It's not a test to see how much you can endure. It's a gift. Because when you can discipline yourself to keep going when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's thankless, you separate yourself from the crowd. You enter rare air. You become the kind of person who's unstoppable because nothing shakes you. Not boredom, not fatigue, not lack of recognition. You're in it for the long haul. And that's who wins. Every time. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are built in the boring moments. Not when you're inspired. Not when you're hyped up on a new goal. But when it's just you and the work. And nobody cares if you do it or not. Nobody's clapping for you. No one's watching. And you show up anyway. That's discipline. That's what builds something unshakable. It's easy to show up when it's new. It's easy to show up when you're motivated. But what happens when the novelty wears off? What happens when you've been doing it for weeks or months, and it feels like nothing's changing? That's the moment that defines you. That's the moment where you either decide you're serious about this or you're just playing around. And if you decide you're serious, you get back to work. No questions asked. Because here's the reality. You don't rise in life because you want it bad enough. You rise because you outlast the part where everybody else quits. And that part, it's usually right in the middle of the boring work. That's where people tap out. They think this isn't working, or I'm not seeing results fast enough, and they quit 2 feet from gold. Don't let that be you. Stay the course. Stay in the game. Show up every day like it's day one, even when it's not, especially when it's not. The boring work is where the magic happens. The boring work is what builds the discipline you need to carry yourself through the hard times. And there will be hard times. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if it's worth it. But you keep going. You show up anyway. Because that's who you are now. That's the identity you've built. You've trained yourself to act, no matter how you feel. And that's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. When you commit to the boring work, something shifts inside you. You stop needing external validation. You stop needing motivation. You start trusting yourself. Because you know you'll show up no matter what. And that trust, that's priceless. That's what builds confidence. Not false confidence, but real, earned confidence. The kind that can't be shaken. Because you've been in the trenches. You've done the work when it was hard. You've done the work when it was boring. And you've come out stronger on the other side. I'm telling you right now. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, if you want to build something that lasts, embrace the boring work. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Master it. Make it your advantage. Because while everyone else is looking for shortcuts, you're laying bricks. While everyone else is chasing hacks, you're building something that will stand the test of time. And when it's all said and done, you'll be standing on a foundation that's solid. And nobody can take that away from you. This is your time. This is your shot. Do not waste it waiting for things to get exciting. Do not waste it looking for the easy way out. Embrace the process. Embrace the boring work. Because that's where your power is. That's where your future is. And if you have the discipline to keep going, to stay locked in, to show up no matter what, you will win. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, and when you do, it will be because you did the work nobody else was willing to do. So keep showing up, keep laying bricks, keep doing the boring work, because boring creates mastery, and mastery creates freedom, and freedom is what you've been after all along. Chapter 7. Pain is a signal, not a stop sign. Every single person, who has ever achieved something extraordinary, every athlete who stood on a podium, every entrepreneur who built something from nothing, every human being who pushed beyond their comfort zone and into greatness, understood one thing that changed everything. Pain isn't something you run from. It's not something you avoid. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a signal that something is happening, a signal that you are moving, growing, changing. It's not a stop sign. It's not a wall. It's a doorway. But most people never walk through it, because the second they feel it, they pull back. They retreat. They step away from the very thing that's going to make them stronger. And that's the difference. The people who win in life are the ones who lean into pain, who use it as a teacher instead of seeing it as punishment. I want you to imagine something. Think back to a time in your life when things were tough, when you felt stretched, when you were tired, maybe confused, maybe doubting yourself, but you kept going. And now look where you are. Look at the strength you built. Look at how much wiser you are today because of that moment. You didn't get weaker from it. You got stronger. You didn't get smaller. You grew. But if you had quit back then, if you had let the pain convince you to stop, you wouldn't be who you are right now. You wouldn't be sitting here, listening to this, searching for more, pushing for better. You're here because you've already survived so much more than you give yourself credit for. And you can survive this too. You can handle what's coming. You can get through the next level of discomfort. You just have to shift the way you see pain. Pain isn't a problem. It's a process. And it's trying to teach you something. It's telling you you're alive. It's telling you that you're pushing boundaries. It's telling you that you are in the place where growth happens. But growth doesn't feel good at first. Nobody tells you that part. Growth feels like breaking. It feels like pressure. It feels uncomfortable because it's supposed to. You are literally outgrowing an old version of yourself, and that hurts. But the hurt isn't forever. And it's not for nothing. It's for something. It's for you. It's for the stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of you that's waiting on the other side. People talk a lot about motivation. They talk about inspiration. But the truth is, those things are fair weather friends. They show up when the sun's out. They show up when it's easy. But discipline shows up in the rain. Discipline shows up when it's storming inside you. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when you're in pain, when you don't have one more step left, but you take it anyway. That's what builds character. That's what builds strength. Not the easy days. Not the days when it all makes sense. The hard days, the days when you are face to face with your limits, and you decide to keep going anyway. Pain is an invitation to rise. It's not meant to crush you. It's not meant to stop you. It's meant to wake you up. It's meant to show you where you're still holding back. And if you have the courage to listen to it, you'll find out something powerful about yourself. You'll find out that you can handle far more than you ever believed. You'll find out that you are stronger than the pain. And that changes everything. Some of the greatest transformations in life happen right after the moment when you feel like giving up. Right after you push through the pain. And it's not because the pain disappears. It's because you stop fearing it. You stop seeing it as something to avoid. And you start seeing it as something to embrace. You realize it's part of the process, not the enemy of it. And when you make that shift, pain loses its power over you. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop letting the fear of discomfort dictate what you do next. And that's where freedom lives. Your relationship with pain defines your future. If you run from it, if you avoid it, if you stay comfortable, you stay stuck. It's that simple. But if you run toward it, if you embrace it, if you let it sharpen you,
everything opens up. You build resilience. You build confidence. You build the kind of mental toughness that makes you unstoppable because nothing scares you anymore. You've faced pain, you've walked through it, and you've come out on the other side, stronger. No one escapes pain. No one gets through life without it. But the difference between those who thrive and those who crumble isn't whether or not they feel pain. It's what they do with it. Some people let pain break them. Some people let pain build them. And you have a choice. Right now, you can use this moment, whatever you're going through, whatever's heavy, whatever's uncomfortable, you can use it as fuel. You can use it as proof that you're in the game, that you're doing something that matters, that you're chasing something big enough to stretch you. And that's the thing about pain. It's a sign that you're stretching, that you're growing, that you're expanding beyond where you've been. And that's what life's about. You didn't come this far just to stay the same. You didn't fight through everything you've been through just to settle. You're here because you're made for more. But more doesn't come to people who stay comfortable. More comes to people who lean into discomfort and use it as a tool to carve out the best version of themselves. You've got to stop thinking of pain as the enemy. Pain is the path. It's the doorway to everything you've ever wanted. But you have to be willing to walk through it. You have to be willing to feel it, to sit in it, to learn from it, and then to rise because of it. No shortcuts, no easy ways out. Just you facing it head on and choosing to grow anyway. When it hurts, when it's heavy, when you want to quit, that's not the end. That's the moment you decide who you are. That's the moment you earn your next level. That's the moment you prove to yourself that you are not a victim of pain. You are the master of it. You're the one in control. You're the one who chooses how the story ends. And it doesn't end with you quitting. It doesn't end with you breaking. It ends with you rising, with you winning, with you becoming someone you're proud of. So take a deep breath, square your shoulders, and keep moving forward. You are not here to be comfortable. You are here to grow, and growth always comes with pain. But it's worth it. You're worth it. Every step, every struggle, every moment of discomfort is building something in you that nothing can take away. Not fear, not doubt, not failure. You're stronger than you think. You've already proved it by making it this far. Now it's time to take the next step, not away from the pain, but through it. Because on the other side of it, there's freedom, there's power, there's you, fully alive and unstoppable. And that's who you were always meant to be.
Chapter 8. Dopamine Discipline. Hack the reward system. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you are training your brain to crave something. You are wiring yourself to seek more of what you repeatedly do. And the scary thing is, for most people, they aren't aware of what they're feeding their mind. They're stuck in a loop that's designed to keep them chasing the cheap dopamine hits, the quick fixes, the easy wins, the distractions that feel good for a second and then leave you emptier than you were before. And that's why nothing changes. That's why they wake up tired, unfocused, and unmotivated. They've trained themselves to depend on the wrong things. They've wired their brains to need constant stimulation, constant entertainment, and constant validation. But you can change that. You can break that cycle. And if you do, everything in your life starts to shift. You have the power to rewire your brain for something greater. You can train yourself to crave discipline. You can train yourself to enjoy hard work. You can flip the script on what your mind sees as rewarding. And when you do that, when you get your brain to work with you instead of against you, your potential becomes limitless. But you have to be willing to step back and look at how you've been feeding your mind. Because every time you scroll mindlessly on your phone, every time you binge hours of meaningless content, every time you avoid the work you know you need to do, you're reinforcing the cycle. You're reinforcing the habit of seeking easy pleasure, and every time you do, you make it harder to focus, harder to stay disciplined, harder to get motivated. But the opposite is also true. The more you delay gratification, the more you choose discipline over distraction, the more you train your mind to crave the right things. You start to feel uncomfortable when you're wasting time. You start to feel off when you're not moving forward. And that's when everything changes. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's not something to fear. It's a tool. It's a chemical your brain uses to tell you, that was good, do more of that. And it's your job to decide what that is. If you give your brain garbage rewards, it will chase garbage behavior. If you give it meaningful, intentional rewards, it will start craving growth. But that doesn't happen on its own. It happens by choice, by awareness, by discipline. And it starts with taking control of the little things, because the little things shape the big picture. Imagine what happens if you train yourself to feel good about discipline. Imagine if every time you finished a workout, your brain got a hit of dopamine because it recognized you did something hard. Imagine if every time you sat down to work on your craft, your brain rewarded you because it knew you were leveling up. That's not a fantasy. That's how the brain works. But most people never get there because they're stuck at level 1, chasing the cheap wins and wondering why life feels flat. You can't stay stuck in instant gratification and expect long-term rewards. Life doesn't work that way. The more you chase quick dopamine, the weaker you get. The more you chase meaningful dopamine, the stronger you become. And I get it. It's not easy to break out of the loop. We're surrounded by it. Social media, endless entertainment, notifications constantly pulling at your focus. The world is designed to keep you distracted, because distracted people are easy to control. But you're not here to be controlled. You're here to take control. You're here to become the one who decides what you focus on, what you value, what you chase. And that's the shift. That's the flip you have to make in your mind. You have to stop being a consumer and start being a creator. You have to stop reacting and start acting. You have to stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. And when you do that, you realize something powerful. The hard things start to feel good. Waking up early and pushing yourself feels good. Saying no to distractions feels good. Finishing what you start feels good. Because you've trained your brain to value effort over ease. You've trained your brain to see discipline as a reward, not a punishment. And that's when you become dangerous. That's when you become unstoppable, because while everyone else is chasing comfort, you're chasing growth. While everyone else is looking for shortcuts, you're putting in the work. And it doesn't feel like suffering. It feels like freedom. But you have to earn that feeling. You have to go through the uncomfortable part where your brain fights you, where it tells you to take the easy way out, where it screams at you for choosing hard over easy. That's the withdrawal stage. That's the part where you're breaking the old wiring. And it's not fun, but it doesn't last forever. If you push through it, if you stay consistent, if you refuse to give in, your brain will adapt. It will get easier. The pull toward distraction will lose its grip. The cravings for cheap dopamine will fade. And you'll find yourself craving the things that build you up instead of tearing you down. And that's the game. That's the secret no one talks about. It's not about never feeling temptation. It's about training yourself to feel uncomfortable with mediocrity. Training yourself to feel restless when you're not growing.
training yourself to feel dissatisfied when you're not giving your best. That's real dopamine discipline. That's the rewiring that changes everything. Because now you're not forcing yourself to be disciplined. You want it. You need it. It's who you are. You become the person who enjoys doing the hard things. You become the person who feels alive when you're pushing your limits. You become the person who doesn't just tolerate discomfort but thrives in it. And that's when the world opens up. That's when opportunities show up because you've become someone who can handle them. That's when you break through the ceiling you didn't even know you had and find out you were capable of so much more. And if you're thinking this sounds impossible for you, let me tell you something. It's not. It's simple, not easy, but simple. It starts with small choices. You delay the gratification by 5 minutes, then 10, then 30. You swap one distraction for one disciplined action. You go one day without giving in to the easy option, then another, and it compounds, it builds. You build momentum, and momentum changes everything. So don't wait for the world to make it easier. Don't wait for motivation to show up and save you. Save yourself. Start rewiring your brain today. Start feeding it the right rewards. Start teaching it that discipline is pleasure. That growth is fun. That hard work feels good. Because it does. You just forgot how good it feels to earn your wins. To push through the resistance and come out stronger on the other side. This is your time. You've been given a choice right now. Keep chasing quick dopamine and stay stuck in the loop, or break out. Take control, rewire your mind, and become the person who doesn't just talk about discipline but lives it, breathes it, embodies it. And when you do, you won't need motivation. You won't need someone to push you. You'll be pushing yourself because you'll love the process, and the best part, the results will come. They always do when you do the work. Your focus will sharpen. Your energy will increase. Your confidence will skyrocket. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You trained for it. You earned it. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, tired of feeling like you're running in circles, tired of feeling like your best life is just out of reach, this is how you change it. Dopamine discipline. Reward the right things. Train your brain to love the work and the life you want. It's waiting for you on the other side of that choice. Make it now, and never look back.
Chapter 9. Your environment is brainwashing you. Change it now. You will always rise or fall to the level of the environment you're in. Your surroundings, the people you talk to, the things you consume, the spaces you move through every day, these things are not neutral. They are shaping you. They are influencing the way you think, the way you act, the way you feel about yourself, whether you realize it or not. And if you're not conscious about what you let in, your environment will quietly, slowly, and almost invisibly pull you into a life you never asked for and didn't even see coming until it's too late. But when you take control of your environment, when you become intentional about who and what you surround yourself with, your entire life can change faster than you think. What you allow around you becomes what you allow inside you. If you spend your time around negativity, people who are always complaining, who are always making excuses, who think life is just about getting by and settling, it won't be long before you start thinking the same way. It won't be long before your standards drop and you start justifying the same behaviors. You can have all the motivation in the world, all the goals, all the ambition, but if you stay in an environment that's poisoning your mind, it will wear you down. It will chip away at your focus, your discipline, your energy, and you won't even realize it's happening until you feel stuck and drained, and start wondering where the fire went. On the flip side, when you put yourself in a space that fuels you, that demands more from you, that calls you to be better, everything changes. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's design. You start rising to the level of the standards that surround you. You start thinking bigger, moving differently. You get sharper, more focused. You hold yourself to a higher level of accountability because you're in a space where that's normal. Success stops being some distant concept and starts being the air you breathe. And that's why your environment is everything. You can have the strongest mindset, the best plan, but if your environment isn't in alignment with who you're becoming, it's a constant uphill battle. Your environment is like the soil you're planted in. It determines how fast you grow, how strong your roots are, how tall you can stand. If the soil is toxic, if it's full of weeds and parasites, you can't thrive. But if you plant yourself in the right soil, rich, nourishing, clean, you grow without force. You evolve naturally. You expand because the conditions support your growth. Now think about what you're surrounded by right now. Not just the people, but the spaces, the habits, the inputs. What's on your phone? What's on your screen? What's in your room, your car, your social feed? What are you listening to, watching, paying attention to day after day? Because these things are training your brain, whether you like it or not. They're either sharpening you or dulling you. They're either feeding your focus or draining it. And if you're not ruthless about filtering out the noise, the negativity, the distractions, you will get stuck. Not because you're lazy, not because you're unmotivated, but because you're surrounded by things that are constantly pulling you away from your potential. The hard truth is, if you stay in a weak environment long enough, it becomes normal. And that's dangerous. If you're surrounded by mediocrity, you start thinking it's acceptable to give less than your best. You start thinking it's okay to coast, to skip your habits, to lower your standards. You don't even see it happening until you wake up one day, realizing you've settled for far less than what you're capable of. That's why changing your environment is not optional. It's essential. If you want to get to the next level, you have to be in a space that stretches you, challenges you, holds you to a higher standard, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, you need to surround yourself with people who remind you of who you can be, not who you were. People who don't let you settle for excuses, people who make you think bigger, act better, show up stronger. If the people around you aren't inspiring you, if they aren't pushing you, if they aren't calling you out when you slip, you need new people. And that doesn't mean you cut everyone off or start acting like you're better than anyone else. It means you get serious about protecting your mind, your time, your energy. Because those things are your life, and you can't waste them on environments that keep you small. And it's not just people. It's places, it's habits, it's routines. Look at your space right now. Is it clean or is it cluttered? Is it set up to make you productive, or does it distract you? What's the first thing you see in the morning? What's the last thing you see before you sleep? What kind of energy are you bathing in every single day? Because all of it matters. You can't live a disciplined, focused life in a chaotic environment. You can't have clarity in clutter. You can't have peace in chaos. You have to build an environment that reflects the life you're creating. And that doesn't mean it has to be perfect. It means it has to be intentional. Every item, every sound, every piece of content you consume needs to serve your mission. If it doesn't, it's a distraction, and distractions kill dreams, slowly, quietly, until you forget you even had one. The beautiful thing is, you can change your environment right now. You can clean your space. You can delete the apps that waste your time.
You can cut back on the media that fills your mind with negativity. You can have the hard conversations. You can set boundaries. You can say no. You can decide, right now, that your mind, your time, and your energy are too valuable to waste on anything or anyone that doesn't help you grow. And the second you do that, things start shifting. You start thinking clearer. You start feeling lighter. You start moving with purpose instead of reacting to everything around you. Your discipline gets stronger because you're no longer fighting against an environment that's draining you. You're supported by it. You're lifted by it. The people who rise to the top, the ones who achieve incredible things, they aren't superhuman. They just get serious about their environment. They curate it. They design it. They protect it. And that's why they can stay focused when others can't. That's why they can keep their discipline tight when others are distracted. They understand the power of what they allow around them. And you need to understand it too, because your future depends on it. If you want a better life, you have to build a better environment. One that feeds your focus. One that strengthens your discipline. One that makes it easier to do the right thing instead of the easy thing. And that takes courage. It takes honesty. It takes being willing to walk away from what's familiar in order to step into what's necessary. But it's worth it. Every hard decision, every tough conversation, every change you make, it's worth it. Because on the other side of that, you'll find yourself in a space where you can grow, where you can thrive, where you can finally become who you were meant to be. Your environment is either building you or breaking you. It's either sharpening you or softening you. And if you want to live a disciplined life, if you want to create something great, if you want to wake up every day knowing you're on the right path, you have to take control of it. No one else can do it for you. It's on you. And that's a good thing. Because that means you have the power. You can make the changes. You can take control. And you can build an environment that makes discipline inevitable. So look around. Pay attention. Make the hard choices. Build the life you want from the inside out. And it starts with your environment. Change it now. Because your future depends on what you do today. And you're ready for this. You've always been ready. You just have to make the move, right now.
Chapter 10. Track everything. Data creates discipline. You will never change what you don't measure. It's impossible to master something you never track. The truth is, clarity creates power. And if you don't know where you stand right now, you won't know where to go next. This is where people get stuck. They want better results. They want growth. They want transformation. But they're walking around in the dark. They're guessing. And when you're guessing, you're gambling. But when you track, when you gather data on your own life, you're not guessing anymore. You're making decisions from a place of truth. You're operating from reality, not hope. And that changes everything. Tracking isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about being brutally honest with yourself, about where your time is going, where your energy is leaking, where your focus is breaking down. It's about shining a light on the places you've been ignoring and taking control. Because discipline isn't just about doing the right thing. It's about knowing what the right thing is. It's about seeing the truth clearly and then deciding what you're going to do about it. If you want to be disciplined, if you want to take your life to the next level, you can't afford to walk through life blindfolded. You need to see everything. You need to know yourself better than anyone else knows you. You need to track how you're spending your time, how you're using your energy, what's working, what's not. And you need to do it every single day. Not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you're building self-awareness. You're holding yourself accountable. And accountability is the backbone of discipline. The difference between the people who live with clarity, purpose and focus, and the people who stay stuck in cycles of frustration, is that the disciplined ones measure what matters. They don't just say they want to get better, they track their progress. They don't just say they want to be more productive, they know exactly how they're spending every hour. They don't just hope they're improving, they have data that proves it. And when you have that kind of clarity, making decisions gets easier. Taking action gets easier. Staying disciplined gets easier. Because you can see the path in front of you. You can't master your time if you don't know where it's going. You can't master your habits if you don't know which ones are holding you back. You can't master your energy if you don't know what's draining you. But when you track these things, even in the simplest way, you take back control. You start to see patterns. You start to notice the things you're doing on autopilot that aren't serving you. And once you're aware, you can change them. You can adjust. You can eliminate what doesn't belong and double down on what works. But it's not always easy to face the truth. A lot of people avoid tracking because they're afraid of what they'll see. They're afraid to look at how much time they waste. They're afraid to see how inconsistent they've been. They're afraid to admit they haven't been showing up the way they say they want to. But that's the work. That's where discipline starts. In the raw, unfiltered truth. You can't fix what you refuse to face. But if you have the courage to track it, you'll find power you didn't know you had. You'll start to see that discipline isn't about making huge dramatic changes overnight. It's about making small intentional changes every day. It's about adjusting your course by just a little bit, and then staying consistent. And when you track your progress, you can see those small changes stacking up. You can see yourself getting stronger. You can see your habits becoming solid. You can see your results building momentum. And that's where motivation starts to grow. Not from empty hype, but from evidence. From seeing real proof that you're becoming who you said you would be. Tracking gives you leverage. It gives you the ability to course correct before you drift too far off path. It lets you catch yourself in the moment and make adjustments that keep you locked in. Without tracking, you might think you're doing okay when you're really slipping. Without tracking, you might think you're working hard when you're really just spinning your wheels. But when you track, there's no hiding. There's no lying to yourself. You either did the work or you didn't. You either stayed focused or you didn't. And that kind of honesty is rare, but it's what builds real discipline. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be some fancy system or a massive spreadsheet. It can be as simple as writing down your priorities at the start of the day and checking in at the end. It can be as simple as tracking your workouts, your meals, your hours of focused work. What matters is that you're paying attention, that you're gathering data, that you're building awareness. And when you make that a habit, you'll be shocked at how quickly things start to change. The act of tracking itself builds discipline. It creates a feedback loop where your brain starts to crave consistency because you're seeing the results. You start to associate progress with the actions that matter most. You start to focus on what moves you forward instead of what just fills your time. And when that shift happens, when you go from guessing to knowing, everything gets sharper. Your energy gets cleaner. Your purpose gets stronger. Your results get faster. And don't underestimate the power of small wins. When you track, you see every little victory. You see the days you stayed consistent. You see the times you pushed through resistance. And those wins add up. They build confidence. They build momentum.
They remind you that you're not starting from zero every day. You're building something. You're stacking proof that you are disciplined, that you are capable, that you are moving in the right direction. But you can't see it if you're not tracking it. You can't feel it if you're not paying attention. That's why data matters. Not because it's numbers, but because it tells the story of who you are becoming. And if you want to write a different story, if you want to create a different ending, you need to see the truth clearly. You need to track where you are, so you can take control of where you're going. So start now. Start simple. Start with one thing. Pick one area of your life where you know you need more discipline. Track it every day. Review it. Adjust it. And watch what happens. Watch how your focus sharpens. Watch how your habits strengthen. Watch how your results accelerate. Because discipline isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. And working smarter starts with knowing where you stand. This is how you take control. This is how you move from hoping to knowing, from wishing to winning, from drifting to leading. You track what matters. You measure what you want to master. And you stay consistent, even on the days when it's boring, especially on those days. Because that's where discipline is forged, in the repetition, in the awareness, in the relentless pursuit of the next level. So if you're ready to live with discipline, if you're ready to build something real, something lasting, start tracking, start paying attention, start gathering the data that will guide your decisions and sharpen your focus. And when you do, you'll find that discipline becomes easier, that consistency becomes natural, that growth becomes inevitable. This is your time. No more guessing, no more drifting. Get clear, get focused, get disciplined, and it starts with tracking everything that matters. Because what gets measured gets mastered, and you are ready to master your life right now.